You can feel it, can't you? That whisper in your spirit, that tension in the air, that subtle pull on your soul, that something is about to shift. This is not just another day. This is not just another date. God has marked June 26 in the heavenlies. And you, yes, you have been chosen. You weren't chosen because you were perfect. You weren't chosen because you always got it right. You were chosen because even when you fell, you kept getting back up. You were chosen because you didn't let the darkness around you dim the light within you. You were chosen because God saw the fire in you that refused to die even when the storms came. This moment, this day, this divine instruction is not random. Heaven has placed a spotlight on June 26. And it's not just a date, it's a divine appointment. A scheduled encounter with your next level. A pivot point in your destiny. You've been wandering in the wilderness. You've questioned the delays. You've cried secret tears and prayed silent prayers. You've felt unseen, unheard, and misunderstood. But God saw every tear. He heard every whisper. And now, He's saying, chosen one, prepare. You were chosen, not because you had it all together, not because your past was spotless, and not because your journey has been straight and perfect. No, you were chosen because God saw something in you that others overlooked. While the world searches for the flawless, God searches for the faithful. While others measure worth by status or appearance, God measures the weight of your heart. He saw how you kept pushing when everything in you wanted to give up. He saw the moments you got knocked down and still whispered, God, I trust you. That's what caught heaven's attention. Your scars didn't disqualify you, they identified you. They're proof you've been through battles and didn't quit. Every time you felt alone, every time you questioned your value, God was watching. He didn't leave you in the fire, He stood with you in it. You see, it's not perfection that draws the favor of God, it's surrender. It's that one choice you made to trust Him when it didn't make sense. That one moment you worshipped while bleeding, that one prayer you prayed while doubting everything. God saw it and He said, that one, yes, that one is chosen. You didn't blend in with the crowd because you weren't created to. You've always felt different, misunderstood, set apart. And it wasn't rejection, it was redirection. God was separating you not to punish you but to prepare you. While others were chasing popularity, He was calling you into purpose. That isolation wasn't a prison, it was a place of revelation. He was stripping away distractions so you could hear His voice clearly. Don't let the enemy lie to you and say you're not worthy. Worth was never the requirement. Availability was. You may not feel like the strongest, smartest, or most gifted, but God's power is made perfect in weakness. What you see as a limitation, He sees as an opportunity for His glory to shine through. You're not called to perform, you're called to obey. And in your obedience, He will do what only He can. It's time to stop disqualifying yourself. Stop waiting until you feel ready. Chosen people don't always feel qualified. Moses stuttered. Gideon hid. David was overlooked. Esther was afraid, and yet they were all chosen. Why? Because when God speaks a word over someone, no fear, failure, or flaw can override it. The calling of God is irrevocable. You can run, you can wrestle, but you can't erase the assignment that's on your life. Some of the things you went through weren't meant to break you. They were meant to reveal you, to show you what's inside you. That even when your heart was shattered, your spirit stayed anchored. That even when people left, you kept going. That even when doors closed, you still praised. That kind of faith doesn't go unnoticed in heaven. And now, after all the fire, after all the stretching, after all the waiting, God is saying, you're still my chosen one. He never changed His mind about you. Even when you doubted Him, even when you lost your way, even when you let fear speak louder than faith, He knew this moment would come. He knew June 26 would be a divine intersection between who you were and who you're becoming. You were chosen, not by accident, not by popularity, not by human approval, but by divine design. You carry something this world needs. And the reason the enemy fought you so hard is because he knew what you'd become if you ever realized who you really are. You're not average. You're not forgotten. You're chosen. And now it's time to walk like it, talk like it, live like it. The next chapter of your life is waiting on your agreement with that truth. June 26 is not just another square on the calendar. It is not just a date you casually flit past or scroll over. It's a divine alert, a spiritual alarm clock ringing in the heavens, calling you to awareness. God doesn't mark moments without purpose. When he highlights a date, he is signaling a shift, an unveiling, a collision between heaven's timing and your obedience. June 26 is not coincidence, it's divine orchestration. You may have gone through months of confusion, seasons of delay, and stretches of silence where you wondered, God, when? But God is never late. He doesn't move according to your watch. He moves according to his will. And right now, that will is saying, prepare. Because what you've been waiting for is tied to this appointed time. June 26 carries weight in the spirit. Something is about to break, be born, or be revealed. This isn't about superstition or hype. It's about alignment. God is calling his chosen ones to align themselves, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically, for what's about to take place. You don't prepare for something meaningless. You prepare for something valuable. You get ready when something important is coming. Heaven is not inviting you into a moment of survival, but into a moment of significance. This date has been set apart, and now, so must you. This is your burning bush moment. The voice of the Lord is calling you out of your ordinary routine and saying, take off your shoes. This ground is holy. That means everything that led up to now, all the wandering, the wrestling, the weeping, it all had purpose, because it led you here to this intersection in time where God is about to release something new, something sacred, something strategic. But here's the thing, heaven's appointment requires your participation. You can't just stumble into divine destiny. You must step into it. That means preparation isn't optional, it's essential. You can't walk into June 26 with the same mindset you had in your wilderness. You can't carry old bitterness, old habits, and old fears into a new door and expect transformation. No, transformation requires participation. God provides the moment, but you must bring the readiness. Don't downplay this just because you don't see fireworks in the natural. The spiritual realm is more real than what your eyes can see. And right now, there is movement happening. Angels are being dispatched. Doors are being unlocked. Strongholds are being shaken. And heaven is asking, are you ready? Ready doesn't mean perfect. Ready doesn't mean fearless. Ready means available, alert, and obedient. Let this sink in. When God marked June 26, he was thinking of you. He saw your future. He saw the timing it would require. He saw the battles you'd overcome just to make it this far, and he chose this moment to speak life, purpose, and instruction into your path. Not next month, not next year, now. You are not late, you are not behind, you are right on time for what God is about to do, and June 26 will be a spiritual turning point if you dare to believe and prepare. It is the moment where your faith meets fulfillment, where your struggle meets strength, where your obedience meets open doors. So don't let this moment pass by like any other. Don't let it be another date that goes unnoticed. This is your signal. This is your confirmation. This is heaven shouting, it's time. Get your heart in order. Get your focus back. Get rid of distractions and step into alignment with what's coming. Because God doesn't announce a date unless destiny is involved. June 26 is not just a day, it's a divine appointment. Before God ever puts you on display, he takes you through a process. Before he places you in the spotlight, he refines you in the shadows. Promotion in the kingdom never comes without preparation. God is not in the business of handing out crowns to people who haven't wrestled through caves. He doesn't elevate those who aren't equipped to carry the weight of what's coming. If you've been hidden, delayed, stretched, or even broken, it's not punishment, it's preparation. Think of David. He was anointed to be king while he was still a shepherd. Samuel poured oil on his head, but David didn't go straight to the throne. Instead, he went back to the field. He went back to tending sheep, fighting off lions and bears, forgotten by his brothers and underestimated by the world. But that was exactly where God wanted him. Why? Because the field was his training ground. It was where he learned obedience. It was where he developed courage. It was where his private victories prepared him for public battles. Your preparation may not look glamorous. It may feel lonely. It may feel like everyone else is being elevated while you remain in the background. But hear this clearly. What God is building in you right now is foundational. He is not interested in temporary success. He's developing lasting strength. He is forming character, resilience, and spiritual authority in the places no one else can see. Because when your moment comes, when June 26 arrives, you won't just rise, you'll be ready. This is why the delay was necessary. This is why the closed doors were a blessing in disguise. You wanted acceleration, but God prioritized endurance. You asked for promotion, but He gave you pruning. You prayed for increase, but He sent instruction. Because He knows that if He gives you the platform too soon, it can destroy you. But if He prepares you first, the platform will serve your purpose, not crush your spirit. There are no shortcuts to God's promises. The wilderness is not a detour, it's a classroom. And every season of frustration, every test, every trial has been a lesson. God was teaching you how to trust Him when nothing made sense. He was teaching you how to worship with no spotlight, how to stand in faith when the breakthrough was nowhere in sight. He was stripping you of pride, insecurity, and the need for validation, because what's coming on June 26 requires a level of maturity that only comes through the fire. You can't carry a royal anointing with a wounded heart. That's why the pain had to surface. That's why the betrayal happened. That's why He separated you from people you thought you'd always walk with. He wasn't trying to hurt you. He was healing you. He was making space for clarity, strength, and revelation. You thought you were being buried, but God was planting you. And now, the fruit is about to emerge. Don't rush the process. Don't despise the preparation. The same God who anointed David in the pasture led him through years of trials before placing him on the throne. Why? Because kings aren't made in palaces. They're forged in obscurity. June 26 is not just a day of arrival. It's a day of revealing. But only those who have honored the preparation will walk boldly into the promotion. So stay faithful, keep building, keep praying, keep sharpening your spirit. God has not forgotten you, He's been preparing you. And when the door opens, you'll realize that every season of preparation was worth it. Some of your hardest battles were fought in silence. The tears no one saw, the questions you couldn't even bring yourself to say out loud. The inner war between holding on and letting go. Those battles weren't just emotional struggles. They were sacred spaces where God was doing His deepest work. You see, what others call breakdowns, heaven sometimes calls breakthroughs in disguise. You weren't just enduring pain. You were being trained, not for survival, but for significance. Every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer, every why God that echoed through your soul, it wasn't wasted. God was there, not always speaking, but always shaping. He wasn't absent, He was intentional. And while you were fighting what felt like an invisible enemy, God was building spiritual muscles in you that you didn't know you had. He was cultivating strength in the unseen, because the calling on your life isn't ordinary, and it requires preparation that goes deeper than what people can see. You've had to carry weight in private that would crush others in public. You've had to smile when your spirit felt heavy. You've had to lead when you felt empty. You've had to stay faithful in places that felt like deserts. That kind of endurance isn't common. It's a mark of the chosen. You were never overlooked by God. You were being overseen, watched by the one who saw what others ignored. He knew your heart was breaking, but He also knew your faith was growing. The enemy didn't attack you just for what you had. He attacked you for what you're becoming. The pressure wasn't to destroy you. It was to delay your realization of who you are. But every trial you've come through is proof that the devil's plan didn't work. You're still standing. Maybe not with everything you started with. Maybe not without scars. But you're still here. And that makes you dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. There's a reason the warfare was so personal. The enemy knows he can't stop God's plan, so he tries to wear you down, so you'll walk away from it yourself. He'll attack your identity, your self-worth, your relationships, anything to get you to forfeit what God already promised. But God let you fight those battles in secret, so He could crown you in public. He let you be misunderstood, misjudged, and even abandoned, because what's coming requires thick skin and a pure heart. And now, He's bringing you out of hiding. June 26 is not just another day. It's a threshold, a crossing over point, a divine unveiling. You've been forged in fire, and now God is saying it's time to emerge. Not because the battle is over, but because you've proven who you are in the midst of it. You didn't run, you didn't quit, you didn't lose your faith even when everything around you fell apart. That's what heaven celebrates, not perfection, but perseverance. It's time to shift your perspective. You weren't cursed, you were chosen. You weren't rejected, you were redirected. You weren't forgotten, you were being formed. And now that the formation is complete, God is getting ready to put you in position. The version of you that's rising on June 26 is stronger, sharper, and more spiritually aware than ever before. You won't just walk into rooms, you'll shift atmospheres. You won't just speak words, you'll carry weight. You won't just survive, you'll lead. So don't resent what you went through. Reframe it. It wasn't just pain, it was preparation. It wasn't just loss, it was leverage. It wasn't just isolation, it was incubation. You are the evidence that even in silence God speaks. Even in storms, He strengthens. And even in shadows, He shapes leaders. And now, it's your time to rise from the secret battles and walk boldly into public purpose. There are moments in life when everything changes, not because the outside world shifts, but because something inside of you does. June 26th is one of those moments. It won't simply mark a change in the date. It will mark a change in your identity. The person who steps into that day will not be the same as the one who came before. Why? Because what God is about to do requires the death of the old and the awakening of the new. You cannot carry old wine into new wineskins. You cannot walk into destiny with the weight of past disappointments chained to your ankles. You cannot answer a fresh calling with a tired mindset. That's why there's been such heaviness in this season. That's why you felt stretched, emptied, and broken. God isn't punishing you. He's purging you. He's clearing space within you so something holy can be born. There are things that simply cannot go with you into the next chapter. Fear must die. Bitterness must die. Doubt must die. The version of you that always second-guessed God's plan, that version must die too. This is the season of shedding, a spiritual molting, a holy unlayering. You're not losing yourself. You're shedding what was never meant to stay. The insecurity, the trauma, the need for approval, they are being stripped away. Because what's coming requires a clean heart, a focused mind, and a renewed spirit. And here's the truth, some things won't leave voluntarily. They must be confronted, called out, crucified. That's why God is calling you to prepare, because you cannot step into the promise until you've let go of the past. You cannot rise while still clinging to what's beneath you. On June 26, God is offering a divine exchange. Your ashes for beauty, your sorrow for joy, your fear for boldness. But it only happens when you're willing to lay the old down. Think of the caterpillar. It doesn't just wake up one day with wings. It enters the cocoon and allows transformation to take place. That season of isolation, of darkness, of uncertainty, it's not the end. It's the place where the old dies and the new is formed. You've been in a cocoon season, hidden, pressed, reshaped. But now the wings are forming. The vision is clearing. The voice of God is calling you out of hiding and into flight. You were never meant to stay where you are. You were never created to remain in cycles that keep you stuck. That's why June 26 matters. It's not just a date, it's a divine departure. A moment when the old cycle breaks and a new rhythm begins. But for that rhythm to take hold, something has to die. Comfort, complacency, control. Whatever you've been holding on to that keeps you small, God is asking you to surrender it now. This isn't about performance, it's about positioning. God isn't looking for perfection, He's looking for people who are willing to be made new. And becoming new isn't always beautiful. Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it requires letting go of familiar things, familiar people, even familiar parts of ourselves. But that's where the miracle happens, in the surrender. In the stretch, in the space where you say, God, I'm ready. June 26 will be the day your spirit stands taller, the day your voice gets louder, the day your eyes open wider to who you really are. You're not who you were a year ago. You're not who you were even a month ago. Something in you has shifted. Something in you has grown. And now it's time to let the old version go. Don't be afraid of the death of what was. Embrace it. Celebrate it. Because when the old dies, the anointing flows. When the old dies, vision becomes clear. When the old dies, purpose begins to rise. And on June 26, what will emerge is the version of you that's been hidden by pain, buried by fear, and delayed by doubt. That version is rising, and the world better be ready. There is no power in the calendar date itself. June 26 is not magical, it's not about numbers or superstition. The true power is unlocked through obedience. God can mark a moment, but if you are not prepared, if you are not aligned, if you are not listening, nothing shifts. Destiny doesn't respond to emotion, it responds to obedience. And obedience is not a feeling, it's a decision. A decision to trust what God said, even when nothing around you makes sense. We often pray for breakthrough, but when God gives us an instruction, we delay. We ask Him to open doors, but when He tells us to prepare, we procrastinate. But breakthrough is always preceded by obedience. Obedience is the bridge between where you are and where you're called to be. You can cry, you can fast, you can declare, but if you don't obey, nothing moves. Miracles aren't just released to those who believe, they're released to those who respond. God has already marked June 26 as a divine moment in time. But what unfolds on that day is determined by what you do leading up to it. If you approach it casually, you'll miss it. If you let distraction, fear, or apathy rob your focus, you'll forfeit what was meant for you. But if you step into obedience, if you clean your heart, sharpen your spirit, and posture yourself in surrender, what God unleashes will shake everything around you. Obedience may not feel glamorous, it often looks like the unseen sacrifices, waking up early to pray, saying no to old habits, deleting numbers that keep you stuck, refusing to entertain conversations that drain your anointing. It's not always loud, but it's always powerful. Every quiet yes to God becomes a seed in the soil of your future. And on the day He has appointed, those seeds burst into harvest. Don't wait for the feeling to obey. Obedience often feels uncomfortable because it requires you to walk by faith, not by sight. It calls you out of what's familiar into what's holy. It demands trust in the unseen. It demands discipline over desire. But every time you obey, even when it costs you something, heaven takes notice, angels move, chains break, doors swing open. Because obedience is agreement with God, and agreement activates access. This is not the time for half-hearted commitment. This is not the moment for lukewarm faith. You've come too far, you've fought through too much, and now the invitation is before you. Will you obey? Will you prepare? Will you make space for the move of God that's coming? Because what He is about to do will not fit into an unprepared life. The oil only flows where the vessel is ready. If you knew what was waiting on the other side of your obedience, you wouldn't hesitate. If you could see what's about to be released, you wouldn't delay. The deliverance, the breakthrough, the open door, it's already prepared. But now God is preparing you because He won't pour purpose into hands that are still clinging to compromise. He won't send fire to an altar that hasn't been built. Your preparation tells heaven, I'm ready. June 26 is coming, not as a passive hope, but as a prophetic moment. You must choose to treat it as holy. What you do before June 26 will determine what lives after it. If you ignore the instruction, the day will come and go like any other. But if you step into obedience, radical, focused, unapologetic obedience, something will shift. Heaven will respond. Favor will find you. The next chapter will begin. So prepare now, obey now, shift now, lay it all down. Surrender the distractions, reject the doubt, pick up your cross, purify your atmosphere, protect your time, and above all, listen. Because when God says prepare, it means He's about to move. And when He moves, everything changes.